I'm a positive person in a lot of situations, especially involving people I care about. I like to uplift my friends and encourage self-belief in them. However, this is my YouTube channel of despair and gloom, and I cannot pretend that I feel positively about myself and my life at this time. I get apprehensive to share these kind of thoughts because I imagine the positivity brigade coming after me for being like a black hole of joy or something. I also imagine that some people might find this incessant self-loathing as just repackaged narcissism, and maybe it is, and maybe that's what I'm doing and that's what this is. But to not be honest about how I'm feeling would just be huffing extreme amounts of copium. And it makes sense that an awareness of this feeling is coming into such fervent bloom as I approach my 30s, and it pains me even more so that some of my best work and most tangible success have been personal reflections on not feeling good about myself and calling myself stupid. That's kind of the torturous irony of it. You're most likely here because I have low self-esteem and an internet connection, but I'm just really feeling it in my aged self-awareness. I'm well beyond the point where I would have previously celebrated an achievement. There are 21-year-olds with careers and houses. I think anything after this point, I'm just gonna feel like, well, yeah, finally, as you should. And a house and a career are not the best examples because it's easy to build an argument for why I don't have a house at 28 when I'm paying £900 a month to live in a room above a restaurant in a house that I share with 6 other people. But the essence of what I'm saying is that I'm ashamed that I'm not more accomplished by now, and I'm more ashamed that I'm not a happier person by now, that I'm not more sure of myself, that I struggle so much to commit to things, and that I don't have as much to show for the things that I have tried hard at. Since I was a very young child, I enjoyed drawing, and everyone thought I would be an artist when I grew up. But I realised soon after beginning studies at university for video game art and design, and this was years ago when I was like 19, that nothing shrivels up my artistic boner more than materializing something from a brief or idea that someone else produced. The thought of working in a studio and painting and designing other people's ideas or like, you know, the IP of a company is very unfulfilling to me, which makes sense because despite being a huge fan of games and at the time when I was younger, anime, I was rarely interested in making things like fan art. I use art to generate something completely new, and it's an entirely selfish endeavor, and I only do it to serve myself. Which is okay, so become an independent artist. Share your work online, open an Etsy store, buy a printer, build a website, make art, you know? You'd think. I did, you know, I made an attempt at those things, and eventually I abandoned everything. Not even necessarily because it was not going well, I always encounter a feeling that makes me want to stop. I don't have much of a drive for art these days, even though it is once again what I am studying at university, because I just don't learn my lesson. Basically what I'm saying is, despite this being a passion from early life, you are not looking at a working professional artist right now. A big thumbs down, incorrect buzzer sound for my apparent childhood dreams. Now I'm going to talk about aspiring to be a content creator, which I think is quite a unique and specific experience, and I guess I'm just saying this might be less relatable. In my early 20s, I got into content creation and, you know, being a monetized presence online. This would be my thing. I'd be a streamer. I'd make content. And now I've been streaming on Twitch for 5 years, and I average between 60 and 80 viewers. I briefly did well on Instagram, and now that account is losing hundreds of followers and has been for like 2 years. There's been absolutely no growth there, because I really quickly stopped enjoying posting the things that got me popular there in the first place. So, there's a pattern of me trying things and then realizing that I don't like doing it. This channel is doing pretty well, but I am conscious of it being a pity party I throw for myself every few months. Could I really consider myself a successful YouTube creator if my videos are just me intellectualizing my low self-esteem? You could be watching someone building a motorized cosplay in their garage, or traveling across beautiful parts of the world, or just making interesting, engrossing entertainment. I started this channel making vlogs. I had the intention of regularly making lifestyle vlogs, and that just would not be good content coming from me. I don't have a life like that. I don't travel. I have nothing to show or teach you. My daily life involves sitting here and watching YouTube videos and anxiously bouncing my leg and eating hard-boiled eggs and needing to use the bathroom, but I can't because one of the 6 strangers I live with is in there making the floor really wet. I've tried to make content in art and humor, lifestyle, fashion. I can confidently say I've failed in my attempts to cultivate an online presence through these avenues because I stopped enjoying it and lost interest, and that makes me feel like a failure because it is a failure. Like it never materialized, it failed. I guess I just have this idea that content creation is something you choose to liberate yourself from traditional employment and pursue things that you're passionate about. And it happens when there's something that you enjoy doing and sharing so much that it's just born of you. It's supposed to be fun. But when I think about it and I try and come up with content ideas, especially short form, it just fills me with dread because I get bored of things so quickly, and being a creator means being consistent with your brand. My shirt is really wrinkled. I don't iron things, sorry. And I've just never been able to conform to anything because I lose interest, and I guess I just don't really enjoy making a lot of content. I mean, the kind of stuff that I should be doing, the kind of stuff that would get popular, and especially short form stuff I'm talking about. The one thing I have really been able to commit to for years now is streaming and playing games. And even then, I can't let myself celebrate it because my sick mind tells me it's not inventive or creative enough and I should be doing something more meaningful. I guess the relatable thing I can surmise from this is that I am someone who has made an attempt towards non-traditional self-employment in creative work online. And because I am just the most difficult, insufferable being that refuses to be happy in any situation, even self-appointed ones, I have found enough disappointment and failure in these aspirations that a very likely reality for me in a year is that I will return to the retail and hospitality roles that initiated this endeavor into content creation in the first place. By the end of this year, I will be entering my 3rd year of university, my final year. And after that, I can say goodbye to my 28-year-old loser salary, my student loans, which are the only way that I am alive and housed at the moment. So basically, I have a year to become a profitable e-beggar, or it's back to making lattes with little chodes in the foam. I forget that people actually have real jobs and money, and they use that money to enhance their lives and not live in shared houses and to be able to afford a 4-slice toaster. And I haven't lived that way for the longest time because I've cared more about being able to do this, and it's like not even rewarding me in the way that I expected it to. And I'm not even enjoying it in the way that I wanted to. I did this to be able to make personal creative work, and I think I didn't consider that there's lots of kinds of content creation that I don't enjoy doing, and it feels like oxymoronic, because the idea of doing this was supposed to be to do something I enjoy every day and make money somehow. Like, making content is just a kind of passive and secondary thing that happens that follows whatever it is that you're passionate about and you're doing every day. But that's just not the case, and I especially found that with making art. I like making art, I don't like making content about it, because it's an entirely different beast. So yeah, that's just something I've been thinking about, and, you know, what direction am I moving in now? What should I do here with this channel? I think maybe what also prompted this kind of reflection was that I recently posted a video about going through a breakup, and it was just kind of like the following week, and being quite vulnerable, and you know, I liked that video and I liked the response I got to that video, but I tried to continue filming the days after that, and while I was editing it, I was just like, this is trash. This is not something I'm proud of. It's because it was, you know, daily style vlogging, and I'm doing the same thing every day, and just like eating breakfast, or I'm trying to find things to talk about, but it's not like coherent thinking. It's not particularly valuable content, and that's what I want to make. If I'm going to do anything, I want it to be decent and valuable. So I didn't continue editing those, and I doubt I'll ever post them. But this style of video, which I have done in the past, I realized that I feel more accomplished when I can put something like this together. But yeah, I recognize the irony in this video being about not wanting to make content, or not knowing what to do, and here it is in a piece of content. I don't know, it's really hard for me to articulate this. I don't really know how I'm gonna feel about everything I've just said in like months. Am I like just incapable of being satisfied? Do I just not feel joy? Why can I not have fun? Why do I feel so bad? What do I want from my life? This is, I fear, the ugly side effect of the internet becoming a possibility for a self-made career, and people like myself wanting to become a content creator, and then just realizing that they're not very good at it, because it's so intrinsic to your identity. At least that's how I've experienced it, where it's like, I'm supposed to be making content out of myself, and then that has just led me into poorly motivated investigations of self, and ultimately just feeling frustrated because I'm trying to enjoy something, but I'm thinking, how can I make content out of this? Because that's what I need to do, because that's what I've decided I'm doing as my job. I would really like to just fall into something naturally and have it be this self-sustaining, rewarding creativity and creation, and that I just find myself doing. And in a lot of ways that is still streaming and gaming. I'm really enjoying that. And maybe that's not the most profound content to put onto the internet, but it's what I'm finding myself doing. I'm not really sure like who I'm trying to talk to here, because I also don't want it to come across as me saying I don't want to keep posting here or keep making YouTube videos. I'm just reassessing what I want and what I find meaningful and rewarding and enjoyable. I guess having a bit more honesty with myself about what I can do and what I want to do. Like, I journal a lot, I write a lot, and I've been trying to read more. And these videos are usually products of those writings in my journal, and I do that a lot, and people have engaged with it, so I guess I'm, doing that, doing something like that. I really just want to feel happy and expressive and like I have something and I can sort of identify it and say, this is my thing that I do. And I think I've tried to, instead of just letting those things happen organically and watch them kind of like roll out in front of me, or following the scent of something I'm attracted to and seeing where that takes me, I kind of run these evaluations on myself and say, okay, well, you have an interest in whatever, so you should be aiming to get to this point where you make this kind of content. I don't know, it's like I'm setting up pieces and then just like sitting there and watching them, waiting for them to do something. That's not a very good metaphor. That's a terrible... Never mind. Is there any better way I can figure out how to say that? It's like I'm trying to assign myself a purpose and identity rather than letting myself figure it out based on what I find myself doing organically because I'm enjoying it. That's a whole other thing, to be honest. That's gonna take some philosophizing. I can't figure out what I mean by that. Anyway, maybe this was something. I have no idea how to end this. I'm not really sure how to conclude all of this, but thanks for watching. If you got here, tell me what the fuck should I do with my life, because I can't figure it out. Okay, thanks, bye.